We use the sport to create exposure for our kids because, yeah, I love to play basketball, but there's so much other stuff that I'm interested in life. And you know what? What is that? And what can I do to help you fulfill your dreams and your goal through basketball? Yeah. That's what DC Elite is about.
I was thinking about today and the fact that I've heard many people say the first of anything is really significant. And so, we've done, 50, 60, 70, 80 podcast episodes. I don't even know what a podcast is. Right. I just know that we're having great conversations with great people doing great things. And my man, Chad Miles, sets it up. And then finally, we get my guy, DC Senior, to agree to having a conversation. And everybody's like, hey, let's do our first one in person.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, that's the shit that happens when you launch a podcast in the middle of a pandemic, right? None of them have been in person. So the first conversation, the first great conversation that At The Podium with Manuel Amezcua is about to have.
Yes, sir.
Is with Derrick Coleman Sr. And so, DC, dude, I love you. I mean, I love your family. And so welcome.
Be first. Always be first, Manny.
Yeah. And so, I mean, okay. So let's agree, right? So you were the first of many things.
Yes.
But we're coming from Mobile,
yes.
Alabama, coming to the great city of Detroit, the place I call home now with my beautiful wife and children, Samantha and Atlas.
Yes.
And then you go to the league. You go to Syracuse.
Don't skip the orange.
You go to Syracuse.
Don't ever skip the orange.
That's right. I'm sorry about that. You go to Syracuse, and then you go to the league, and then you come back to Detroit, and you wrap up one of the most impressive careers in professional sports. You wrap it up in your hometown.
Yes.
And that had to be very special.
Well, it was special for me. I would say the bad thing is not really getting the opportunity to play the game of basketball. My 15th year in the NBA, I was probably going to play maybe 2 or 3 more years, in the NBA. And believe me, I could have sat there for another 5 if I chose to.
Yeah.
But not being able to play the game of basketball would eat at me more than anything.
Yeah.
Not to be able to compete, to get on the court and talk trash, So coming back home, it was great for me. An opportunity, the first time I ever had the opportunity to be on a winning team. And then, we get to the trade deadline and I get waived. And I had the opportunity to go play for probably 3-4 other teams. But it frustrated me so much. It's the first time in my life that basketball ever really got to me.
Yeah.
I've always been the advocate for my teammates and standing up for people and the politics that everybody else doesn't see behind the game of basketball. If it was just about basketball, it would be great. It's all the stuff that you guys don't see and don't know that really frustrates us about the game of basketball and playing. So it frustrated me so much that I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to go.
Well, and you know what, so first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for being the first.
Oh.
Thank you for being the first.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you for being the first that comes into the beautiful facility on floor 31 of the Town Center in Southfield, Michigan. And yes, Southfield, Michigan. But
great view, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Beautiful view. But I was thinking about when you said the word advocate. Mm-hmm. And as you know, Samantha and I have consistently spoken about the significance of people just taking some time to seek to understand others and serve as a true advocate. Yes. And so I want to make sure that I take a step back and I remind folks, like, look, Derrick Coleman Sr., a well-recognized speaker now, recognized philanthropist, a community activist, a serial entrepreneur, and that's all in addition to a 15-year career in the league.
Yes.
And so I want to make sure that we don't get into a conversation for 45 minutes where we disrespect and disregard the significance that while you may impact and influence millions through the sport, you're impacting thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions through the life you have today.
Yes.
And so I want to respect that. I want to make sure that I say thank you for being an incredible advocate in the great city of Detroit. And so let's pivot very quickly, just for a second, to where this all started.
Oh, man.
Right? I mean, to me, when I hear your childhood story, when I hear what the come up looked like,
Yes.
when I hear about the choice to go to Syracuse, the experience there, the way that changed your life.
Yes.
That's so inspiring to me. Take us down that lane.
Well, I mean, have you seen the Colin Kaepernick story?
Samantha and I
Netflix.
watched it with Ava and Atlas, the
That-
full thing, as soon as it was released.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you that, I mean, it was so deep and so meaningful.
What it did, it took me right back to my childhood of growing up in Mobile, Alabama. People don't know that basketball really is my third sport. I grew up playing baseball and football my whole life. I never even played organized basketball until I actually moved to Detroit at 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I grew up playing baseball, football. My grandmother loved the Dodgers, Jackie Robinson.
Everybody does.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I grew up. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to walk by Hank Aaron's house as a kid because he's from Mobile, Alabama, actually Plateau, Alabama. And he'd be like, yo, Hank Aaron stays there, So we would knock on the door, his parents' house and run, as kids, you know what I'm saying? So basketball is really my third sport. The thing is, I just kept growing. I always had a hoop in my backyard, dirt court. So we used to go and wet the court down so the dirt wouldn't fly, everywhere. And we would play against all my friends in the neighborhood who had basketball courts in their backyard. And I used to come to Detroit every summer because my mom was always here. I would stay for the summer, and then it was time for me to go back to school. My grandmother would be like, hey, send my baby back home. But again, I kept growing and needed a change. I think my grandmother knew that, in me. And I moved to Detroit when I was 13 and had the opportunity to, I actually went to Cooley High School in the 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yes, I stayed on Finkel and Foyer, right at the corner of Finkel and Foyer in an apartment building right next to the liquor store to this day. So whenever I'm feeling down, Manny, I drive by there to see my humble beginnings. Yeah. I take my kids from DC Elite from my program with basketball. I say, guys, let me show you something. They're like, Coach, why are you putting up in front of this abandoned apartment building? I said, this is where I used to live at. My first AAU coach, Mr. Blankenship, like Joe and Tony Blankenship's father, who I still see to this day. He was my first coach when I moved here and learned how to play the game of basketball. So I go to Cooley, and we're staying on Finkel and Foyer, and my mom wound up moving back to the neighborhood, which is 12th Street, Rosa Parks, and Hazelwood. It's where all my family lives at. So I transfer schools, and I go to Northern High School. All my cousins and everybody go to school at 10th grade, coming off the bench, playing a little bit, But again, being in the gym, just continuing working every day on basketball, still had my love for baseball and football. Even in high school, my coach didn't want me to play, football. And he's like, no, you're going to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, you get hurt getting out of bed in the morning, Coach. I mean, I grew up doing this and wound up playing and becoming a McDonald's All-American. And then the game is hosted in Detroit. Cobo Hall, right downtown. But trust me, back then I figured out too early on the politics of sports.
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about that.
So I'm a McDonald's All-American. I'm at home. I'm in Detroit. They give me my jersey is number 43. They gave Nick Anderson number 44 because me and him both were 44. But I'm like, hey, whoa. I'm at home, and you're not going to give me 44. So all this stuff is registering in my mind at the time. I'm like, okay, y'all gonna give me 43 in a McDonald's All-American game. I'm at home in Detroit. Y'all got J.R. Reed and Terry Mills as the number 1 and 2 players in the country. Okay, it's time for me to show you who's the best player in the country. And it's the first time in, I would say, Michigan's history that we had 3 McDonald's All-Americans on one team. Myself, Terry Mills, and Anthony Pendleton, who was from Flint, Michigan.
Shoot.
Yes.
Anthony, yes.
So we put on the show.
Yeah.
You know, we at home,
Yeah.
we put on the show. We're winning the game. They take us out the game, right? We go back in the game. We tie the game up. I actually tied the game up to make the 2 free throws, and they sub me and take me out the game. We wind up losing the game. J.R. Reed wins MVP. My high school coach went crazy. He went from there. They had to escort him out of the facility. Like, I dare you take Derrick them out of the game. But then I understand, you know, the politics behind sports. So I've always followed that in my mind, you know, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to see you again.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy with sports that you really become lifelong friends, playing with and against each other all your life. So when you look at a guy like J.R. Reed, he goes to North Carolina. I go to Syracuse.
Yes.
We beat North Carolina to go, no, let me go back. Let me pivot. So that summer is the 19 and under AAU down in Jacksonville, Florida. So it's Team Michigan against Team Virginia. J.R. Reed, Alonzo Mourning.
Oh,
yes. So again, okay, wow. I see you again. Yeah. We beat them. Yeah. All right. So we go to college. So Final Four to go to the final Elite Eight. So we get the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four is Syracuse versus North Carolina. So when we're in our team meetings before the game, when coach is explaining everything on the board and everything, I said, "Nah, coach, I got him." Because this is personal with me. Yeah. So we wound up beating J.R. Reed, Kenny Smith, Joe Wolf, Joe Popson. Yeah, they had an incredible team. We wound up beating them to go to the Final Four. Yeah.
So talk to us about you end up at Syracuse. What do you think is the most significant thing or moment or discussion that occurred that gave you the confidence, hey, I'm going to wear orange, I'm going to bleed orange for the rest of my life? What was that?
It was Dave Bean.
Yeah. Tell us more about Mr. Bean.
So I met Dave Bean when I was 13 years old when I moved to Detroit. My high school coach, Harry Hairston, knew Dave.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was hard for me to find shoes. So he introduced me to Dave. He was like, hey, man, we got to help this kid. Yeah. He was 13. You know, he's wearing a 13. 14, he wearing a 14. 15, wearing a 15. Yeah. So me and Dave became like father and Dave has no sons. Yeah. So he has daughters. So I tease his daughters about that all the time. Like, I'm the surrogate, son with him. But Dave used to send me to basketball camp to Syracuse every summer because him and Coach Boeheim were roommates and played together at Syracuse. So he was setting me up at the time. I just didn't realize it at 13 to 14 years old.
Well, but if you really think about that, like, hey, I just had this conversation with my partner Paul Davis, who you know and you're friends with, right? I mean, Mr. Basketball State of Michigan, goes to play at MSU, drafted by the Clippers second round, has a good long career, and literally Paul and I were just talking about the fact that Samantha's in California right now. And so with Samantha being in California and us going to the basketball game, we're going to the Pistons game tonight.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, man, I might get caught up for like 15 minutes, and you know that I trust no one with my children.
Right, exactly.
Atlas,
yes,
right?
yes.
I said, there's like 3 of you
on
the planet in the state of Michigan that I would ever trust with Ava and Atlas for 10 or 15 minutes while I'm away.
Yes.
I said, can you handle this for me, right? And so when you say that story about Mr. Bing and Coach Boeheim, I just think about like how much goodness there is in that because what Mr. Bing was doing for you at that time was doing what we do for our children as parents, which is we would never leave the greatest thing in our life
With just anybody.
with anyone.
Never.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's so special. Like when you tell that story, I was thinking about that, right? Like, Mr. Bing didn't have boys. I knew that because you had shared that before.
Yes.
And whether his daughters want to acknowledge you as a brother or not.
Oh, no.
I'll leave
without
that to
question.
them, right? But I've always loved that and have appreciated that, because what it said to me was he would never leave a young man that he cares for, respects, and loves with just anybody.
Anybody.
Right?
Yeah.
And so talk to us about Coach Boeheim, and then talk to us about Coach Boeheim, maybe one or two things that you're like, hey, man, when I was with him, when I was under his umbrella of mentorship and experience, man, these are things I took into the league.
Yes.
And things that I kind of still live by today.
It's so crazy that you say that, because like I always challenge Coach. Like every time he used to be like, you know what, he used to call my mother and ask her, like, why every time I ask Derrick something, he asks me why?
Well, you do have a tendency to challenge everything, because we asked you to wear headphones and you were like, nah,
me first.
You're like
me first, Manny.
Like, no headphones. No headphones
what?
today.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can
hear you very clearly. Yeah, and I got grandmama hearing anyway, so yeah, we don't need the headphones. But Coach was again a challenge. I always challenged him, like always ask him why all the time, just to mess with him though.
Yeah,
and one of the biggest thing I would say that I learned from him more than anything, just off the conversations that we used to have. And again, you're a kid. And I think people don't really understand that. I'm 17, 18, 19. I'm still a kid,
100%.
But
100%.
And I tell him this every time that I see him. I was just in Syracuse last weekend. I said, Coach, I learned so much from you when I'm away from you.
Huh. Say more about that.
Because as a kid, he's telling me, he's giving me all this insight to life, to the game of basketball. And, again, as a kid, we think we know it all.
Yeah.
Yep. But when I'm away from him and I'm running that back through my head as I'm still growing as a young man, I'm thinking about all the insight and stuff that he was giving me. And I'm like, damn, Coach was right.
Yeah.
So the more that I'm away from around him, it's the more I miss him, the more I understand. Like wisdom really helps us understand life, situations, how to deal with stuff. So every opportunity that I get, I try to share those moments with him. And not just with him, even just with Syracuse in general, the team, the kids there. It's just like, hey, man, this is a once in a lifetime. There's no way I could have went to any other school and turned down playing in front of 32,000 people every night. That was just amazing to me as a kid to go into the Carrier Dome. I'm going there for basketball camp.
Yeah.
But when I first go up there for a really like Syracuse Georgetown game, and I just walk into that Carrier Dome, and I'm like, it's 33,000 people in here for a basketball game. I couldn't turn that down. Yeah.
What do you think, when you look back, what do you think is the most significant thing that you took from Coach Boeheim going into the league?
The most significant thing I would say I took away from him is more probably his competitive nature.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, because Coach has always been a competitive. I remember going to his house all the time. We used to shoot pool. Like he never wanted to lose.
Yeah.
In anything.
Yeah.
And it reminds me when we had the NCAA violation, and they took his games away. And that's probably why he's still coaching now.
Yeah.
Coach just turned 77 the other day. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Still grinding, man.
Yeah, he's still grinding.
Like chopping wood.
But his competitive nature of wanting to win, on the basketball court and in life. I think that's the most important thing that I've always, loved him about, his passion just to, to win, to be competitive.
Why do you think, societally speaking, and I'm not trying to get like super deep, but I mean, I'm just like, I'm always caught off guard by people who tend to believe that we should recognize any and all efforts as if they are all deserving of a trophy. and so I'm like, well, it defeats the purpose of the emotional equity in value and impact it has in recognizing the best of the best.
Yes.
Not because they're the most talented, but how many times in our lives, right, in a very mediocre Division III college football career on my end, and here's a guy who played in the NBA at the highest of levels, representing our country, but how many times have we found ourselves in situations where, you know, people feel that they've been discounted or not recognized, even though you're kind of like, dude, you just kind of suck. Your attitude sucks. Your effort sucks. Your preparation sucks.
We lost.
And yet here you are challenging the environment or the culture you're in. What do you think that's doing? I mean, I gotta think
it's ruining us, society as a whole. The main thing with me is, when did we become so passive about everything?
Yes.
When do you start getting a participation trophy just for participating? No. So you're preparing our kids for failure when they step outside of these sports arenas and really step into the real world.
Yes.
Because nobody cares about you once you step outside those doors. And I try to explain that to kids all the time. Like, even with my team, Team Michigan. I brought Team Michigan back. Our started in 1979. Rocky Watkins created Team Michigan. Magic them was actually their first team.
Okay.
Right. And Rocky's 80-something years old right now. He's having some health issues with, you know, Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And I just explained to him, I said, hey, man, I am not going to let your legacy die. With all the people you touch in your life through the game of basketball, I just can't sit back and let that just fade away and people forget about who you are and what you represent and what you've done for all of us. And I'm like, hey, I want to be the legacy holder for Team Michigan. So I started taking my kids to junior NBA at 12 and 13 years old, playing, but I wanted to be Team Michigan.
Yeah.
But again, when we're practicing, preparing to go play in these tournaments and all, like you said, you know, it's like, I'd never accept a second place trophy. I'm like, no, you're not going to give my kids a participation trophy. You're not going to give them an awards. So even with what I do in the summertime with kids with DC Elite, no, it's a championship trophy and that's it. Because you know what? You lost. We got to go get in the gym. We got to go get better, because you know what? We're going to see those guys again. So we got to go get better prepared.
Well, and I think it says a lot. When we do not consider the long-term consequences of giving people a false sense of security. That second or failing or
it's
not,
okay.
Or most importantly, just not giving our best is acceptable. Right? And so that's where it, you know, I just firmly believe we have an obligation to expect the best from our people, including our children. And the earlier we can communicate that in a healthy and safe way, the better for them, right?
Yes, the better.
So talk to us about DC Elite. You know, I followed you for the last couple of years since we moved to the great state of Michigan. I mean, it's incredible. You know, I brought Ava and Atlas to the playoffs this year, and Atlas is like, Dad, he's like 14 and he's dunking. You know, like, I mean, he was just like, what? He's like, Dad, I'm 11. Am I going to dunk when I'm 14? I'm like, I don't know, buddy. You got to do a lot of plyometrics and box jumps. I'm like, you're going to be dunking at 14. But talk to me about DC Elite. Like, I think about just your entrepreneurialism, your philanthropic heart and being, and just being a community activist. I see DC Elite as a nice blend of the three.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I created it because I just seen the decline in sports here in Michigan.
Yeah, too many trophies.
There you go. We back to that. Too many trophies,
yeah.
right? So I saw that and I'm like, hey, I got to do something, you know. And I was thinking about, you know, I always, again, basketball is my life. And it's the biggest way I know to make the impact that I want to make, especially with the next generation, is through basketball.
Yeah, tell folks exactly what DC Elite is, though, just for those who might be listening the first time.
Well, DC Elite really is not, and our quote is bigger than basketball. So I started DC Elite because I saw the decline in sports, and I wanted to create a league because I felt that our kids weren't playing enough. You know, we all grew up playing the St. Cecilia is legendary here in Detroit. Everybody who've ever touched a basketball has played at St. Cecilia. And again, when you talk about our kids, St. Cecilia, hey man, it's a hot box. No air conditioner, one court, you know, the wall is right there. You get ran into the wall or whatever have you. But I reached out to Sam Washington Jr., who runs the league, and I said, hey man, I'm thinking about creating this summer league. I don't want to interfere with what you're doing at St. Cecilia. I said, I want to create this league Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and kids still had the opportunity Saturdays and Sundays to play at St. Cecilia. So instead of playing twice, you're playing 5 times a week. Yes. So I wanted to create, because when I got back home, I'm like, hey, I don't see us playing enough. So we're not getting better.
Right.
You know, we're not getting the exposure that we need to get. When I graduated high school, it was 40 of us, just from the city of Detroit, not including Flint, Saginaw, Port Huron, Benton Harbor, you know. And when I created it, again, I used the platform with DC Elite is really the opportunity to create exposure. So through DC Elite, we play tournaments and summer leagues and stuff like that, but we also engage in food drives. We have a repack at Forgotten Harvest where we have all the kids come in, pack the food, you know, for families in need during the holidays. So you're teaching kids about community service and giving back and helping. You know, so we just use the platform as basketball. Like I just told you, we just went to the mentoring situation with Dave the other day. But a lot of those kids, so we take them to basketball games. So we just try to create exposure through that. And not just showing them the game of basketball. We want to show you the back of the house, just like what we're sitting here doing right now.
Yeah, talk about that, because that's the one thing. Like when I came to a couple of those games, and I'm watching you and even the other coaches interact with the young men and the women, I'm like, you know, man, there's so much more than just basketball happening here, right? And that's where, you know, we think, you know, people will say, hey, like, you know, life is sport, sport is life. It is. It so is. Share with us what, for folks who know of DC Elite or hearing about it for the first time, but really, really want to find a place for their children to learn the sport of basketball and about leadership, servant leadership in life. Talk to us about a couple of those other things that children are taking away by participating in DC Elite.
Well, I mean, again, they're taking away the desire really to learn about giving back and helping each other. The biggest thing I would say, though, Manny, what you're taking away from it, right, is relationships.
Being a great teammate, right?
Being a great teammate.
I've heard you say it before. Being a great teammate.
But think about being a great teammate, but you're in a gym with 60 teams. So it's just like I said earlier with me, Terry Mills, and Anthony Pendleton, we're going to know each other all our life through basketball. So DC Elite really is, hey, basketball is the draw, but education is the key. So with you being there, you saw we had guys set up with their own podcasts. And these are all guys that are from the city of Detroit that have played here and everything, right? But teaching kids about this side of the game of basketball. So when we go to the games and stuff, it's not just about going to the games and watching the game of basketball. Let me show you guys these opportunities, the back of the house. Well, these are the money makers. Y'all think these guys are making money?
Stuff after.
Yes, it's that. But again, what it does, man, is it create exposure. And that's what sports are. We use the sport to create exposure for our kids because, I love to play basketball, but there's so much other stuff that I'm interested in life. And you know what? What is that? And what can I do to help you fulfill your dreams and your goal through basketball?
Yeah.
That's what DCLE is about.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're saying, because what you remind me of is that the sport is the conduit to the life you want, right?
Yes.
And the sport. So playing basketball at a high level, that could be the foundation or the freight train to your quality of life for 5, 10, 15 years.
However,
but at the end of that run, there's got to be more.
Yes.
And so you've got to have absorb some skill sets, develop some competencies, built your mind, because the war is won in the mind. We talk about that all the time,
all
right?
The time.
Mental is the physical as far as the one. The war is won in the mind.
Toughest.
So you got to build those up so that you can sustain and endure a life after sports, which you've done.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about that now for a minute, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's only appropriate that we discuss the many different ways that you're pouring water into the well. You're being a fountain in the great city of Detroit, a place that I've grown to love very quickly and, means a lot to my family and I.
Some in the water.
Man, I mean, you're doing a number of different things. I see you showing up in a lot of public places. I see you showing up and supporting a lot of philanthropic causes. I know how charitable and philanthropic you and Gina and your two beautiful children are. Yeah. Tell me, what is the thing that right now, outside of DC Elite and how aggressively that is growing, tell me about something else that you're super just passionate and excited about right now.
I mean, so many different avenues, for me to be passionate about. I would say development, in my neighborhood and in my community, which is 12th Street, Rosa Parks, in that area, really helping develop my community. I started developing it back in 06, 07.
Yeah, and that's when you had just come back.
I had just come back home.
Finishing your career, but you got to finish it in Detroit.
Yes, just come home. I had owned a restaurant downtown at the time, Sweet George Brown's. Had just built this strip center in my neighborhood because as a kid growing up, I saw that, the business and the opportunity. Like I said, I come from an entrepreneur spirit. And up and running, everything, and boom, the recession hits.
Yeah. Yeah, tough time for everybody.
Tough time for everybody. Yeah. But see, again, through sports, it still makes us stronger. Yeah. Regardless of I'm not going to cry about spilled milk. I'm going to go get another glass. Yeah. So I see the resurgence of not just Detroit. I see the resurgence of our communities and our neighborhoods. And I just feel for us to be a whole city again, it starts in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and rebuilding those communities and neighborhoods. So I've been in my neighborhood looking at properties and stuff like that to really reinvent what I'd done before on 12th Street on Rosa Parks, right where actually the riots started in 67. I grew up 2 blocks, from there. So that's my passion always, being an entrepreneur, looking for all these different entities to really dabble into. Got my license at Syracuse University to do college apparel and stuff because of all of this name, image, and likeness stuff. Yeah. So when I went back to Syracuse, I'm like, hey, I want to control that. Yeah, I want to control not just for myself, but for all my teammates, all my alumni, because you guys have been selling my jersey in these stores since I've been there. You still selling it?
Oh yeah, I got one.
Yeah,
I put that one up, but I have one.
So again, the licensing and everything through the university. That's what myself, Sherman Douglas, John Wallace, Lawrence Moulton, Ronnie Cycli, all these guys that graduated from Syracuse, we're looking at creating our own licensing agreement through the university to market and sell and promote us.
Yeah, see, you know what? I mean, there's a super nugget gem diamond in what you just said, right? And I think most of us would miss it if we weren't just intimately obsessed about language. But you just said we're doing it through the university.
Yes.
And see, that's inclusion.
Oh, without question.
That's collaboration.
Yes.
That's partnership. That's a skill set. That's talking about, we talked about it. That's about being a great teammate.
Yes.
That's about having a mindset of abundance. Not that scarcity shit that everybody's buying into today.
Right.
Where everybody's like, oh man, woe is me. I missed that because somebody else and blah, 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 and all that jibber jabber. But you are doing this with your guys in collaboration with the university. And man, what's right is right.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Without Syracuse University, being able to create that opportunity for us, it's no way I would have went to college. And I'm sure the people that you talked about on your podcast all these years, especially sports guys, without me playing sports, using that basketball as a tool to get the opportunity to go to college. I come from a single parent home. My mom couldn't send me to school. So that basketball, again, going back to the sports side of it, but using that to get the opportunity to go to a place like Syracuse. And I say it all the time, really, it's the best 4 years of my life till this day. I've never had so much fun and met so many people that I network with even to this day at Syracuse University.
Well, and I've hung out a bunch of times, and again, it's always like a blessing and a privilege to do that stuff. But we went to Florida together this summer, right? We went to Florida together this summer, and it's like we couldn't have like 10 minutes of conversation without somebody to being like, "Oh, I went to Syracuse. My dad went to Syracuse. My cousin went to Syracuse. Hey, my wife's from Syracuse." And everybody wants to bring that up, and then. It's in those moments, DC, that I think many of us become intimately connected to the significance of what Mr. Bing did for you.
Oh, without
what
question.
Coach Boeheim did for you.
Without question.
About just Syracuse.
Yes, about the city.
Yeah.
The city of Syracuse. See, what people don't understand, Syracuse sits up on this hill, but when you roll off that campus, you come about the city of Syracuse, and it's majority African American. You never see that. People don't even know that. So we spend a lot of time in the city of Syracuse, not just being confined, to campus. As coaches be like, hey, I heard you guys was down on the south side of Syracuse. I said, yeah, coach, it's good trouble down there.
Well, and that, Chad, I don't know what you're going to do with the video, but at some point Syracuse probably should get this as a commercial for going to Syracuse because
it's just the love, man.
I'm sure they have good marketing going on, but I'm not sure it's this good.
It's just the love, man. It really, like I said, I was just there. Felicia Leggett-Jack, a young lady who played girls basketball.
Okay.
Just had her jersey retired there over this past weekend.
That's awesome.
And again, she's the first.
Yeah.
So I told her the same thing. We got
to get her in a chair.
Be first.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Great. She's a head girls coach right now at University of Buffalo.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And even through my girls teams, again, DC Elite, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, Felicia, you need to come and see this young lady right here. She can play. She's going to be a player.
Hey, we got to connect. We got to connect Coach Felicia with my boy Joey DeLeo. He runs the state of New York.
Oh,
incredible
man.
guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I was just there for 4 days, man. Myself, Sherman Douglas, John Wallace, Lawrence Moulton, Wendell Alexis, Sonny Sparrow, and 50 of her girl teammates. 50
showed up.
Oh my God. And we just had a great time, man. It's just a great time. Every time I go to Syracuse, it's like home. Yeah.
Hey, only because I know we're running out of time, and I wanted to hit on two more nuggets while we're together. One thing I have thoroughly enjoyed in our couple years together is that when I listen to you and your incredible wife Gina speak about your children and speak about when DC Junior played played football at Wayne State, was a stud coming out of Detroit Country Day.
Yes.
I love that school. My children are there now. Our boy Benny Fowler.
Right.
We're going to be with him tonight. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, man, it was such a dream when I moved to Michigan to have my children go to Detroit Country Day. And it's such a blessing that they're there today. And I know they're following behind guys like DC Jr., your son, Benny Fowler, and other people. I was thinking about how so many parents are inappropriate on the sidelines or in the stands. And I was like, man, I'm like, hey, maybe there's like an apprenticeship or a refining school or program that you could go through, because I sucked as a Division III middle linebacker, but I'm not angry about it.
Right.
And I'm definitely not hollering at my child, your child, or the referees.
Yes.
And so, hey, just give us like a minute of golden nugget advice on parental etiquette. If you are in the stands or on the sidelines and you don't have a jersey or a zebra striped outfit on, here is what you need to get down with.
Just be quiet and enjoy the game. So it's crazy you say that, Manny, because a lot of times when you see me at those events, and even when I came to see your son play,
game.
but you saw me though. I'm always standoffish. I am always standoffish by myself.
Gino's like he'll never sit in the stands.
No, never. Because I learned that early on. Because again, I'm hearing all the stuff from the parents, and I'm just like, it's football, it's basketball.
Yeah,
it's here for the kids' enjoyment. No coach, is ever going to sit a child on the bench if he can play. No coach.
No doubt.
Even in business.
Yeah.
If you're good in business, you're going to be in the room, right? And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with parents. It's no proper etiquette. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So
it's like, hey, you know what? Just stay home.
Man,
drop your child off. Let the coach do their job. Let the officials officiate, and then pick them up.
So just what you said, it goes back to the trust factor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
It goes back to the trust factor.
Speak on that.
Yes. So with kids, right? I grew up, and I know the eras are different now, but I grew up, just what you said earlier. All I did was get dropped off. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. I might have had $1, $2, but hey, maybe one of my other teammates had $1. Maybe. We put our money together, and I'm going to Kalamazoo. I'm going to Grand Rapids. I'm going to Pontiac, Saginaw, whatever. We want to play basketball. Yeah, I get dropped back off at home, and I walk in the house. You can tell whether we won the games or not.
Yeah, no doubt.
By my face, throw my book back down, go straight to the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk to anybody right now. You know, I come in and talk about the game. Yeah, but I just think our parents get overwhelmed, about their kids, and a lot of them are trying to live through their children. Yeah. Playing sports. You can't do that. It's so sad, Manny, when I'm sitting there, and you know me, I got headphones in my ear. I ain't listening to nothing. I ain't talking to nobody. I just put them in my ear I don't want to deal with you guys because they always run straight up to me. D, what's up? Hey, Derrick, how you doing? Hey, man, you think he got a shot? A shot at what? Yeah. How old is he? Oh, he's 8. Yeah, he got a shot at being 9 years old. Yeah, that's about it. He got a shot at being 9. Yeah.
Is he
Leave the kid alone. Right. Leave the kid alone. Let him enjoy the sport. Why are you guys putting so much pressure on a child? And I explain this to parents all the time. If you wasn't an athlete growing up, what makes you think your child is going to be an athlete growing up?
I think, I love that you say that, and because there's so much validity to that. We often speak to in business and in life,
Yes.
the greatest predictor of the next year, 5 years, 20 years is the last year, 5 years, 20 years, right? So we're going to take a quick look in the rearview mirror and say, here's what we might expect going forward,
Yes.
based on mindset, behavior, habits that we've seen, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
when the parents don't necessarily have the last year, 5 years, 20 years of physical
Yes.
performance and domination, we might want to loosen up a little bit on the child, right?
But what are you teaching them though, Manny? If I'm being this way with my kids just playing sports, then you know what? He's going to depend on me for the rest of his life.
Yes. Yes.
So you're really hindering him in what he's doing. You're giving him that crutch, something to lean on.
Yeah.
So even when with Team Michigan, when I'm coaching my kids, right, I don't let parents in the gym.
Yeah, I love that.
No,
you brought that up to me
yes.
before. I absolutely love that.
I don't let them. Just what
Absolutely
you
love
just said.
that.
Drop them off.
Yeah.
This what time will be done. You can pick them up.
Yeah,
right?
you got to trust that I take my job seriously.
Exactly.
My track record speaks for itself.
Right.
Let me do my job.
And a lot of things too, Manny, what I want to say, it's only for young man's ears.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's always big. Again, it's bigger than basketball, right?
100%.
So yeah, we're playing basketball, talking basketball, whatever. But I'm going to ask you about life.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? I just want to have young men, grown men conversations. I don't want your mom there. I don't even want your dad there. I want to just talk to y'all because what they don't understand too in sports, that we'll open up to our coaches before we really open up to our parents. We'll share more with coaches than we do with our own parents. Yeah. So no, I don't want you to come in the gym. I want to have real conversations with my kids because they know they can pick up that phone or whatever and call me and ask me anything.
Yep.
And they know D coming. He's gonna make it happen for me.
You and I have been in discussions about the significance of helping young men and women have a good relationship with money.
Yes.
Right? We've had that discussion for years. We both agree that there's a responsibility we have in society to not just help folks with their faith and their gratitude for the freedom in the country and their unflinching loyalty to their family, but hey, a big part of the experience you will have in your life will be dictated by your ability to be financially secure, stable, and successful.
Yes. So how do we create that?
Yeah, we talked about what we're building with Podium.
Yes.
And you've been a huge advocate. I'm super thankful for that. You've done so much in the space of financial literacy and trying to support the next generation of adults in this community. Share a little bit about that before we wrap up for the day.
Manny, it's understanding. And
Say more about that.
It's like I said before, wisdom helps us understand, right?
Yeah.
Because again, being successful in life, starting from humble beginnings and getting the opportunity to be successful in the sport of basketball, in business and everything, but not having that team around you who understands that. Again, you're talking about kids. Mm-hmm. When I'm drafted, I think I'm 21. Mm-hmm. Number one draft pick,
number 1990.
one overall, yeah,
right.
Draft
You
pick.
saw I didn't even lead with that shit. You saw that I didn't even bring that up. I'm like, hey, I mean, if you don't know, then you don't know.
Yeah, it's all love.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's bigger than that.
Yeah, if you don't know, you can put ketchup on a hot dog. That's your problem.
Right, but being able to change your family's lives, and I think that's what people really don't understand when they look at athletes. It's not really about us. It's about watching my family struggles all my life, and I can change that. but it's understanding the financial side of it is what kids struggle with. So in order for us to be able to make the impact with Podium and what we talk about all the time, I said, Manny, we had to start at a younger age. And we're talking about our kids. See, we have to put real money in their hands. We can't just keep doing it pencil and paper and showing them that. We got to put real money in their hands, because you know what, Manny? They're going to mess it up because you don't know. How am I to know anything if my parents don't know? My family is
that
blue
experience.
Yeah,
right?
my family blue collar.
Yeah, they need that experience.
My uncle worked at Ford, supervisor at Ford his whole life.
Yeah,
provided for 14 of us.
Yeah,
2-family flat, right?
God bless.
But what can my uncle or anybody in my family tell me about right out the back? $3 million. You know. So again, going through the trials and tribulations in life, it would be less than me to come back and share my experiences with these kids that I'm not doing my job. Like, hey, this is what we need to do. But we have to start at a younger age with those kids and getting them to understand the importance of money, the importance of credit, the importance of relationships. You know, the need is so great. I just feel that we have to start at a middle school level. It's just like basketball. Hey, I love what we do at the high school level with DC Elite. But in order for me to change and teach kids how to play the game the right way, I got to start at elementary and middle school. Yeah. And when do we get away from that?
Sure.
Because if we look at our ancestors, that they started kids doing everything at a young age. And again, as parents, we get so passive with it, like, oh, leave him alone. He ain't ready for that. No, he is ready for it. Because studies even show the best time for kids to learn anything is at a younger age.
That's right.
Memory muscle. Yes.
And that, you know, and that's such a bigger conversation, and we're going to have to agree that we're going to come back and do a 2.0.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But where you're ending that comment right now, it takes me right to a lot of really deep and painful discussions around race.
Yes.
And the difference between equality and equity.
So
and
I don't mean to cut you off.
Shitty reality that shitty expectations have on our children in the future of this country, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Say what you're going to say.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, you always hear the term lift yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
But what if I don't have boots, Manny?
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
So how can I lift myself up?
Yeah.
If you've taken away all the tools in life for me to try to gain access to be successful. And I look at it like, you know what? With all the things that we've been through in our lifetime, right? All the struggles, all the roadblocks, and still we rise. We're still here, Manny. We're still here representing for our race. We're still here helping, giving back, motivating, teaching, learning, because you know what? We're just a vessel. So eventually, you know what I'm saying, that vessel is going to cruise out of sight. You're not going to see it anymore.
Yeah.
But what do we leave?
Yeah, that's everything.
That's everything. What do we leave?
The footprints, the stuff in cement, the legacy.
To get them to understand that, hey, man, it ain't about me no more. I don't care nothing about basketball, Manny. You know what I'm saying? When you come to Summer League or whatever, I've been doing it 18 years now, right? And I never tell them kids who I am because I don't care. It's not about Derrick Coleman at all. But it gives me a chance for 2.5, 3 months, right, to individually meet and talk with every kid in that gym. And by the time that's over with, I'm not concerned that you know me or not, because whoever brought you to this gym, they like, hey.
They know.
Do y'all know who that is y'all talking to?
Yeah, they know.
Oh, that's just DC. No, that's not just DC. Yeah. Hit YouTube or Google him. Like, no, he's it. But again, it's breaking the barriers down with the kids through basketball. So they're going to open up and have conversations with me. What they do, they run over there to me like, dang, D, you dunked on Shaq. Nah, Derrick dunked on a lot of people. Shaq was just one of them, you know. But it breaks the barrier down through basketball to have open conversations, relationships with those kids. That's what it's about.
Let me, and thanks for sharing that. Let me take a second to try to summarize. You know, one, you know, here we were today with just somebody who I hold in such high regard. And you know, we're talking about a young man from Mobile, Alabama,
the Bay,
to Detroit, to Syracuse,
to
Jersey, to Charlotte,
to Philly,
and then back to Detroit,
home.
And home again. And we're talking about a guy who's philanthropic, involved in the community, being a fountain, not a drain in humanity, especially in the great city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, the Great Lakes, the Midwest. DC elite, easily the most competitive and exciting, dynamic summer league experience that our children and I have experienced since I got to the great state of Michigan. DC, congrats on that, man. It's special. And I know it's not just you. I know it's the coaches. I know it's the families. It's the advocates that you have.
And Manny, let me just say this too also, Beaumont.
Yeah, Beaumont. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we forgot.
Can't forget about it. In the middle of the pandemic, they stepped up big time.
Yes.
So I definitely want to tip my hat to the executives at Beaumont and the physicians who advocated to step up and provide a safe environment for the families and the children to play this past summer. So hats off to Beaumont. But DC, so much more than all that, right? So much more than all that. You're writing another incredible chapter, man. I'm so happy to have you as a friend and an advocate to the firm and obviously the podium.
I love it, man. I mean, like I said, our journey together for these past 2-3 years has been great, and we've always sat and had these conversations. It's just the first time we've actually sat in front of the mic.
Yeah, every time we the verse.
Be first.
Just so we all heard it. Be first. number one pick in the 1990 NBA draft. Derrick Coleman Sr., dude, you were really treat, and appreciate your friendship,
man,
brother.
Thank you, man. Salute.
Right, we're gonna do it again.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Look forward to it.